Hello, it is November and this is my super speedy October wrap-up! Woo! I hope you're very excited. I'm wrapping up the books for you today that I read in October. October started ridiculously slow for me. I think I read one book in the first 16, 17 days of the month because I was moving and my brain was knackered, and every time I sat down I wanted to just do nothing that required concentration, so I would just stick something easy on TV and just watch that. However, after I kind of got settled and the ball got rolling, I was in the mood to read, so I managed to rein it in, bring it home and finish 7 books, which is about average for what I've been finishing each month. However, for this month I'm particularly pleased with that because I really didn't think I would be able to go anywhere near that amount of books, so I'm chuffed. You should be chuffed too, because I'm about to tell you what the books were and go through what I rated them. If you are new to super speedy wrap-ups from moi, then these are basically just me throwing books at myself, trying to explain what I enjoyed about them in about 10 to 15 seconds so I don't lose your attention and my own attention, and basically just whizzing through them like that because that's how I like to film my wrap-ups. Also, this is such a lazy setup today. You are literally on the puff that I put my feet on because I just needed to get this filmed quick and I couldn't be bothered to set up my tripod and light, so I hope that this is okay. It's probably not the best, but we'll deal with it. I think the top of my head's pretty much cropped off, but hey ho, it's the content you're here for, not the setup, right? I'm gonna start with the first book that I read this month, the book that took me absolutely ages to read, but through no issue with me enjoying this book. That book was A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. I adored this. I gave this book 4 stars. This is a fantasy with kind of rivalries between royalty and non-royalty. There's a competition, there's magic, there's discovering abilities, there's magic through storytelling, which I really like. Something that I haven't really read too much about before, I suppose, the magic of bringing stories to life in a literal magic setting. I really enjoyed this one, and I wish that I had picked it up at a different time, I think, because it took me so long to read it because of the move, but I did absolutely adore this one and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Then I picked up the pace a little bit, and the next books I read within the last 10 days of the month. So the next one would be Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This one is a gothic horror. It is a slow-paced haunted house, paranormally, family drama, family dynamic, freaky stuff happening, gothic horror. I really enjoyed this one. I've seen a lot of people saying it's slow. My response to that is it's a gothic horror. Gothic horror is slow by genre, so what do you expect to happen pace-wise with this? Because that is how gothic horror titles itself. The pacing is slower to draw you in and make it more suspenseful, which this one definitely was. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I think it was perfect to read during the October spooky season. Then we're getting into the books I literally finished in the last 3 days, which when I'm looking at it is quite a lot. There's 5 books in this pile I finished in the last 3 days, so I'm ridiculously impressed with myself. I clearly got my reading brain on the latter part of October. The first of those is Chloe Gong's These Violent Delights. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in Shanghai in the 1920s with a monster. This is so good. I'm so excited to write my review for this. I literally finished this one on Friday night. I think it's Sunday now that I'm filming this. And I absolutely loved the way that this was a retelling with a twist, and not a twist that you don't know is happening. It makes it pretty clear there's a monster. That's not a spoiler. I just really like the way that the story involved the original Romeo and Juliet plot line in a way. There are the gangs, there's the rivalry, there's the quotes even. Some of the quotes are mirrored and played about with, which I really enjoyed. And I just loved the idea of one line taking hold of this book and kind of running with the storyline. In my head, I don't know exactly how the author intended it, but one of the lines from Romeo and Juliet is "a plague on both your houses," and this whole book follows a kind of plague illness thing, and I don't know if that line particularly came into it. It must have had some sort of inspiration, but I really enjoy the way that that well-known line from the play is completely guiding this plot. Obviously there are certain themes here that are a bit reflective of the whole pandemic thing at the moment, so if you'd find that a little bit alarming, maybe wait to read this one, but do still read it because it's fantastic. This is an early copy. This doesn't come out until November, I think. Yes, this one comes out in November 2020, so you can't pick this one up. Well, you might be able to pick this one up now you're watching this. I don't know the exact date. It's not October anymore. I have to get that into my head. But pick this one up. It's really good. Then I finished The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. Oh my god, this whole work. I am a massive Lord of the Rings fan. This one was a reread for me as part of the Tolkien Along, and I absolutely adored it again. Oh, just so good, so good. I cannot get enough of this world. The epic storytelling, the way that the plot works together as a journey. I just adore this world so much, and I would highly recommend them. But this one obviously does follow the same plot that we know in the film, but there are some differences. I have watched the film before reading the book for this whole series, and I think it helps a little bit, I have to say, because I think the books can seem a bit daunting and heavier. So having watched the films helps the plot follow along, because there are certain bits in this that go on a lot longer of a tangent than we see of those scenes in the film. So you get more out of it from reading the books for sure. They are a little heavier, but not too bad, and I would definitely advise reading along with the audiobooks. That's what I've been doing. But I've been absolutely loving these, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I also think I forgot to say what I gave these Violent Delights. I gave that 4 out of 5 stars too. This is a great wrap up, isn't it? This next book is absolutely miniature. Look how small it is. This is Farmer Giles of Ham by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is a little tiny fairy tale-esque story from Tolkien. He has a couple that he's written as like side fun stories for children. Sorry if you can hear all that noise in the background. Fun stories for children, and I absolutely love the little tiny design of these. I've got a little box set of all of them, but I basically picked this one up because I wanted something quick to read after I'd finished Lord of the Rings, because I kind of needed that fix. So I picked this one up, and it is very much a tale of a kind of moral story type of thing about a man who brags too much and ends up being sent to try and find a dragon. But it ends up like, well, actually I'm not going to tell you how it ends up, that's a spoiler, but it's fun. It's a cute little fun story, and I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars because I wasn't looking for anything exceptional in this, just a little bit of light fun reading. Then getting down to the books that I read yesterday, I did my own little 24-hour/12-hour readathon, and I vlogged it all, so check that up somewhere up here if you would like to. But these are the 2 books that I finished yesterday to round up all of October. The first one was The Books of Magic by Neil Gaiman, Kat Howard, Tom Fowler and Jordan Boyd. This is a graphic novel of the Sandman universe, not a universe that I have read before, but I really enjoyed this one. This is following a boy wizard who is trying to learn about his abilities, and also that he might be like this really special wizard. Really liked the drawing style in here. It's just fun, bright, interactive stories, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars because I don't normally rate graphic novels too high, because in my head they never blow my mind, which is what 4 to 5 star books do. But for me, that does mean that I quite enjoyed this one. And I think out of all the graphic novels I've read, I would definitely continue on with this series. I don't often think about carrying on with graphic novel series because I just don't often click with them, but I may look for volume 2 of this one. And finally, the last book I read this month, and the one that pulled at my heartstrings the most. This is Tilly and the Map of Stories, Pages and Co. Book 3 by Anna James. And oh, if you've read this series and you haven't read this one yet, I think it's quite a recent release. Just read it. This whole series is about a girl who can walk into stories, and she can go into the pages of the books and book wander, and she's part of a whole group of people that can do the same thing. This is book 3. We follow along some drama, we follow along some book wandering, and her trying to save the day. And honestly, I just absolutely love this series. There is so much in this one about a love of reading and about how none of us ever read the same story as someone else, and how books mean something different for every single person. I honestly just absolutely loved this, and this was a very easy 5 out of 5 stars for me. What a fantastic book to end the month on. So that was my wrap up for October. I have 2 months left of the year, and I think I have 20 books left to read to reach 100 books. My Goodreads goal was 50 books. However, I am so close to 100 and I have never read this many books in a year before, and I would kind of like to get there. I wrote a blog post recently about how reading shouldn't be a competition and have we turned it into a competitive sport. And I think, honestly, there's definitely that competition element there in the back of everyone's heads that's got that Goodreads goal, and that's why they can be dangerous. But I think because I've exceeded mine, I feel the relief of just like, I'd like to read 100 books, because that'd be cool, wouldn't it, to have read 100 books this year? I feel like that would be a real achievement off my TBR if I just ignore all the other books that I bought this year. But I don't know if I'm going to get there, because that would be an average of 10 books for the next 2 months. However, I do have like a week and a half off over Christmas. And now that we're locked back down again as of Thursday this week, I am definitely going to have a little bit more time to just sit and read. So it's not too unbelievable. I think if I pick the right books, I might be able to do it. So that was my October wrap up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry it was a little haphazard with the setup and stuff. Hopefully didn't hinder your enjoyment at all and you enjoyed seeing what books I read. Let me know how many books you read in October and if it was a good reading month for you. Comment that down below, and you can also like if you enjoyed the video, or you can subscribe to see more of my face on your feed and see how I get on with my reading throughout November with my weekly reading vlogs. Thank you so much for watching guys, keep smiling and stay positive.